Hey, quick story for you here. We've seen it happen more than once here in the Twin Cities. A deal is moving along just fine, and then right before closing, a furnace issue, an electrical concern, or even a roofing question pops up. And suddenly things get stressful. That's exactly why we created our worry-free closing program at Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric. We send a licensed technician out to check the furnace, AC, electrical safety, water heater, and water softener, coordinate a roof evaluation with a licensed roofing contractor, and provide a full report on all the home's major systems. We can do this during due diligence or even before a home is listed, so potential issues get caught early. If you're a realtor or you're buying or selling a home, there's a simple way to keep things smooth. Twin City Heating, Air, Electric, built here, stays here.
From working in his family's Chinese restaurant, to bartending, to becoming present-day owner of Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, my father's true superpower is human connection. Now, he's on a mission to capture the most fascinating stories that make up the Minnesota community. You're listening to the Twin City Tales podcast.
Success isn't usually built in a single moment. It's built one job, one challenge, and one leap of faith at a time. Today's guest, Kari Hefnider, knows that better than most. Growing up in Brooklyn Park and Maple Grove, Kari started working at just 11 years old, from landscaping and restaurants to nearly 2 decades in the auto glass industry. Every step prepared her for what came next, building her own amazing American family insurance agency right here in Minnesota. But this conversation isn't just about insurance. It's about resilience, overcoming fear, thriving in a male-dominated industry, and the importance of gratitude, and why protecting what matters most is about so much more than a policy. We'll also hear the story behind Mickey Mantle Autograph, her love of golf, cars, scuba diving, and travel, and the advice she'd give her younger self if she had a chance. I'm Wymond Wong, and this here is Twin City Tales. Welcome, Kari.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited. We've talked about it for like a year or two now.
Yes.
Even before I started the podcast, I said she would be an amazing guest because you've told me a few stories. We've talked in different networking groups, and I think she's an amazing woman.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you grew up like in the beginning. You were like growing up in Brooklyn Park. Tell us a little about that in Maple Grove. And I know you were in Florida for a little bit.
Yes.
Tell us what it was like growing up for you.
I was born in Minnesota, and then when I was 4, we moved to Florida and lived in Tampa for 4 years before moving back to Minnesota. So we moved to Brooklyn Park. It was a new area, sort of by the old drive-in theater, Starlight, and Skateland was close by. And, back then you were just running around until somebody yelled at somebody for dinner, and you just had a lot of fun playing with the friends. And there was, behind our house was a bunch of just plain dirt land, and that's where a lot of us kids went to play and could bike around and things like that. Would go to Brookdale or Village North. Those are things that we visited as kids. Circus would play the video games when they came out.
That's right. Yeah, I grew up in that Minnetonka Ridgedale area, right in Golden Valley, so it was only right down the road back when there was a Highway 12 and
right.
the York Steakhouse. But what's interesting is that area that you're talking about, Skateland, was right. That area has changed so much, right, in that little area there.
Yes.
And it's amazing, because even just in the last 20 years, the big water park was there, and then they had to shut that down. That's in that same area that you grew up in, wasn't it?
Right. The one in the hotel, are you talking about? Yes, the old Sheraton. We used to sneak into the pool there, a lot of kids that I went to school with, and we would sneak in there and go swimming in the pool inside the Sheraton.
Okay.
And, it was just one of those things that we did as kids. And, nobody had cell phones. You were just running around having fun with your friends.
Yeah. And people always forget, Brooklyn Park is one of the, as much as, and I live in Brooklyn Park now, but growing up, I thought I would never live in Brooklyn Park because Brooklyn Park had that bad rap, right? Like
Right.
that's a rough part of area, but there's certain pockets in it. But people don't always know that Brooklyn Park has the most greenery of any city in the Minneapolis suburb area. Like they have so many little parks tucked away.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Uh,
It does make sense.
so I actually really like living there. You moved out of that area though, right?
Yes. I think it was the winter of 10th grade that we moved to Maple Grove off of East Fish Lake Road. So I finished out high school years living in Maple Grove. Back when there was gravel pits between Brooklyn Park and Maple Grove, there was just one little road that went through the gravel pits. That was also a place that kids would hang out, whether they were going out in the potato fields or the corn fields north of there, or just driving around and messing around.
Yeah, and that wasn't even that long ago when it was all gravel pits out there. Because I remember Grace when she was younger in the mid 2000s. She used to think those were mountains. Like when you're 5 years old, you think those things are huge, right?
They were fun as a 16-year-old learning to drive and driving by myself. Just going over those. My first speeding ticket was actually there.
Really?
I've had 4 tickets in my life, and 3 of them were before 18. But one of them was on that road. But back then, there was Taco Bell, Burger King,
Yeah.
Kmart was there, but there wasn't really much else. Once you got through the gravel pits into Maple Grove, and then it was sort of not much of anything before you hit Weaver Lake.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it now with the shops at Arbor Lakes, nothing there.
No.
It was all farm fields or potato fields or whatever. And then what's even crazier yet, you go north of 169 into Champlain. That was nothing there either until you hit Anoka.
No.
So kind of crazy. all the changes that have taken place. And now you told me you started working when you were 11. No child labor law.
I was babysitting, so I guess it depends on how you look at that. But I started babysitting when I was 11 because I wanted to be able to have my own money. We didn't have much money, and so I knew if there was things that I wanted that I was going to need to earn my own money, and so I did that. And then when I was 14, I did tree trust for a summer. That's where the landscaping comes in. And after that, when I started 9th grade, they had a work program where during the middle of the day you could go work at a fast food place that the school had contracts with during their lunch hour, their busy time. And so I worked at the Golden Skillet in Crystal off of Bass Lake Road and just north of Broadway, or just west of Broadway.
You really bring me back because it's now a Dairy Queen, right?
Now it's a Dairy Queen, yes.
And across the way was Ponderosa, I think.
Ponderosa was
days,
there,
yeah.
and Zantigo.
Yep.
Cheese Toledos, love those.
Yep, and the original Target was right back there too. That was like one of the first Targets in Minnesota back in the 60s and 70s, from what I understood.
Yes, it was. And was I 16? When I was 16, I was able to get a Target credit card with a $75 credit limit, and that was the start of my credit history.
Wow.
Somebody must have told me back then that it was important to have it to buy something and to pay it off, and that's how you build credit. And so obviously I must have had a bank account, but at that point, yes, I had a credit card, and the first thing I bought was a boombox. I don't remember how much the boombox was.
Yeah.
But I had it for a really long time, and I was very proud of that boombox that I was able to charge and pay off.
It was one of those big ones that you kind of put over your shoulder, or the guys would.
It was about that size, but I never carried it like that, no. I just set it on the ground.
Kind of fun. Kind of fun. Yeah, I think my first credit card was Dayton's, right? Like that was a big one for kids to get. And
right.
I think back then you could actually use, was it like Dayton's and Target were tied together somehow?
Oh, now that you mention
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that it might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember how Dayton's is like standing in line to get concert tickets back in the day.
These kids don't remember that.
No.
Like now they just order it online and
They have no idea what we went through to go to a concert back then. If it was a good one, you had to stand in line for hours.
Okay, 1981, I went to Bruce Springsteen, and I stood in line with friends of mine at Ridgedale, and somebody could drive, so they would go get the food, but you would camp out overnight.
Right.
Like you would start lining up as soon as they closed. You could line up, and you'd have lines. And I still remember like those Bruce Springsteen tickets in 1981 were like $24 a piece, and we're like, that's like a life savings right there.
Right. Right.
Now it's like a couple, $300-$400 just to get the seats in the upper deck of U.S. Bank, practically, right? So
I had tickets to Lionel Richie just a couple days ago. So I was there, and those tickets were on lower level, and they were $109.
oh, that's
I
not
think.
bad.
That's what I said. I thought that was not bad. Too bad we didn't get a whole concert. Hopefully he's feeling better. And
Oh, what happened?
he got ill. He got dizzy. He had to go off stage and didn't finish the concert.
So he couldn't really sing all night long then, because that was like one of his key songs, right? So,
He was singing Dancing on the Ceiling,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then he
that's-
ended up sitting down on the stage. And it was hard to tell, like, is he doing that on purpose? And then two of the other band members sat down with him, and then he said that it's the first time he'd ever performed that sitting down, and that he had been feeling dizzy. So he went to the piano, played a song. I'm trying to remember which song he played was the last one. I think it was Three Times a Lady, but I'm not sure.
that's always a good one.
And he played that one sitting down, and then he said, intermission before I pass out, and he left the stage and then never came back. And we were there for about 40 minutes or so before we started walking out, and then they had called the concert and said he wouldn't be coming back on. Yeah, it was sad. I love live music. I've been to a lot of concerts in my life.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's one of the best things to be at, right? Like, yeah, you can listen to it on the radio, but yeah. Who else is one of your favorites out there?
I'm still a huge Bon Jovi fan. I've seen him many
Okay.
times, probably the most of any performer I've seen Bon Jovi. But I've seen Page and Plant. I saw Kiss. I saw Pink Floyd at the Metrodome.
You were one of those 80s like rocker chicks with the big teased hair, and
I had big hair. Yes, I have a lot of hair, and when it was permed, it was extra big.
man, you're really bringing me back to the days, right? And for the guys, it was the flannel shirt and a beer T-shirt under that, with the high tops that weren't very tied, and you just
Right.
kind of slap around in that. Or if you really want to look cool, now I don't have the body for it anymore, but the mesh see-through T-shirt, right, with the cut off so it's above your belly button.
Oh boy, yes.
And we always thought we were really cool looking in that shirt. Now I'm like,
Sure.
ooh, yeah, I don't think I'd want to see Wymond in one of those. And I'm me. So going back to all the work, like all the jobs you've had, doing all that, what do you think what those jobs kind of teach you in life? One of your biggest lessons in life?
Well, that I had to be financially being responsible for myself was a big thing, but I learned a very strong work ethic from several of the jobs that I had. But when I was in the auto glass business, I worked for Assurance Glass Company, and they're no longer in business. But the general manager, his name was Dominic Paolilli, was a very big influence in me and was my mentor. And he was a full-blooded Italian, and he taught me how important it is to be accurate, how to take care of people, how to make sure that you're doing a good, thorough job, making sure that you're staying until the work gets done or whatever that means. And so he taught me a lot about work ethic overall. And I feel like I've treated every job that I've had in my life that it was a part of my business, that it was a part of me, because if I'm doing a good job, then it's reflecting on the whatever business that is. And you just hope that gets seen by the right people eventually.
Yeah. I usually don't like to talk too technical about, whatever business it is, but it just came up to me thinking about it. The one thing, because you're in insurance now,
Yes.
And if I remember right, in the 80s, like auto glass was a big thing for like a moneymaker, right? Because I keep going
Yes.
back to George Corporal, and I don't think he's around anymore. But his deal was you get like one box of steaks if you come in and change your auto glass. Then it became two boxes. Then other people were going, we'll give you four boxes of steaks, right? Like that like changed the industry. Do you remember that? And
Oh,
were
yes.
you in that kind of realm at that time?
Yes. And when all of that happened, because I started in the auto glass business right out of high school in 1987. Anyway, so what happened is way back then, you just had pricing was this and it was this. And then when those stakes started, and there was no regulation. So when the stakes started coming around, right, those were giveaways. And it went from the 1 to 4, or how many ever boxes of steaks, to cash, to $200, to $500, to $750. Well, who do you think ended up paying for all of that, right?
Oh, for sure.
When you're billing the insurance company those higher rates to include all of those things because there wasn't any regulation, it just got out of control. And so
Right.
then there was some regulation that stepped in. And I think it's just because people got greedy. They could
Yeah.
see the money and they could give away rebates and they could bill whatever they want. And so I think that certain companies who were in the forefront of a lot of those things just tended to get greedy about the money, and then things had to be regulated and everybody lost.
Yeah.
You started, and now you're into networks. So then networks became a thing where glass companies or insurance companies would align with a network. And so they had agreed upon discounts, and those would go to certain shops and things like that. And you're in about the same sort of system in today's world, only it's much tighter.
Yeah, and I can see that, and that creates some of the things that we can't control, like
Right.
pricing of insurance, right? Like it's got to come from somewhere, those boxes of steaks, right? And
Exactly.
it's really sad that people don't always understand, like, hey, it's not always the cheapest insurance that's always the best, and the expensive insurance is better, but they're not playing the gimmicks, at least, right?
Right.
That's what it was good that happened in the 80s, but because it showed us like where our faults were, but it also created a system, right?
Right.
Which is kind of rough. But going back to the glass industry, you were in it for like 17 years.
Yeah, 18 years total.
Yeah. What made you go, it's time for something different? I hope it wasn't the free steaks.
No, wasn't the free steaks, because the company that I worked for, we never got involved in those giveaways. That wasn't anything that we ever did. The company that I was working for, Assurance Glass, they were having some issues, and the company ended up selling off some divisions and going out of business. And I knew that was coming, so I had gotten out of it. I went to work for a horticultural supply company for a few years, so in between. And that was also a good experience. I worked for some good people. And then when I was approached by somebody, had I ever thought about getting into insurance, I thought, wow, as I was on the other side of it when I was in the auto glass business, I knew who took good care of their clients and who didn't based on how they responded when they were called about verifying coverage. Because back in that day, there wasn't any get online and be able to verify somebody's coverage, or even the 800 numbers for all of that. You had to call the agency that had the business to be able to verify the coverage. And so you could just kind of tell from response time. And when I looked at all of those things, I decided that I started thinking really about my future. I was 39 at the time, and it's like, wow, if I don't do something to start my own business now, I probably never will. And so I checked out some of the companies and talked to some of the people that I used to have as clients about them being in the insurance industry. And I just decided that my values at that time aligned best with American Family. And so I gave it a try.
I think that's all we sometimes do, or some entrepreneurs that kind of like, yeah, I was a little like that. I worked for a company called Centerpoint Energy Minigasco, and I think at some point I said, if I don't start my own, I probably will never do it. The job at Centerpoint was really comfortable. It was a union job. I didn't have a lot to worry about. I could shut the truck door and not think about it.
Right.
But on the other hand, I didn't feel fulfilled, if that makes sense, working for
Yes.
somebody. So, and it's never as easy as it looks going in on your own either. At first
No.
you think, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of customers and things will be great. But I think all business owners have at one point or another curled up in the fetal position and started sucking their thumb, right? But I think the key to it is always figuring out how to get out of it. That's the key.
Have you ever seen that infographic that shows the life of an entrepreneur, and it's like this, and then it goes down like this, and then it goes up like this, and then it goes down like this? It's 100% true. And there isn't no straight trajectory about
No, there really isn't.
about the line going straight up. It is not like that. And it's still, I've been with American Family for 18 years. I've started my agency 16 years ago because I did a mentoring program. So they called it an AIT, Agent and Training Program. So I worked independently, but in another agent's office, sort of learning the ins and outs of what I needed to know. Because I'm the kind of person that likes to know what I'm doing before I do it, making sure that I've got it nailed down. So I did that and then started my agency in May 1st of 2010.
Well, yeah, it's been a while, and that's really awesome.
And it still goes like this.
Yes, but as long as it's kind of keep trajectorying upward
Right.
with the dipsy downs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And, it's kind of funny because I was just thinking, and obviously, when you were 18, 19 years old, you weren't going, insurance. I would be so excited about insurance every day if I got to deal with insurance. What was it about the insurance business that made you believe this is where I'm supposed to be?
When I was in the auto glass business, because of how that situation was with me working with different agencies directly, when I was approached about getting into insurance, I thought, okay, well, I know how not to do it. And so I also know how to take care of clients. I've spent most of my career being a manager, so leading people, and also taking care of those clients and customers in the auto glass business. I did customer service training for the company, and I just knew that background was going to only benefit me in the insurance industry. I love meeting people. I'm an extrovert. I love making connections. And that's honestly how I've built my business, is by connections.
And knowing you all these years, I noticed that you're at a lot of events. You're really connecting with people. You really put yourself out there, where some people are a little bit shyer to do that, which is amazing. And with that 16 years of owning your own, what do you think the biggest misconception people have about what an insurance agent really does?
Oh, that is a great question. I can't wait to answer this one too, because people think about insurance agents as the guy going to the bar waiting to sign the contract, or the guy out on the golf course who's just going to play golf with his buddies, and his gals in the office are going to handle all the tedious things that need to happen, and that they don't actually ever spend time in their office working, that they're just out playing and their little people in the office are just doing all the work. Well, maybe that was true at some point in time, and maybe that's true for some people, but that is definitely not true for my agency or most of the people that I align with, or that also are the people that are in the same business as me, my friends that are agents. Because when you truly care about your clients, and I've been accused of caring about their insurance more than they do, it's just how we operate. But I think that I'm there. I might not be the first person that answers the phone, but I do answer the phone. My office has a team, and so we all have our roles that we play in the office. Mine doesn't happen to be answering the phone. I can't do all of that and work on the business at the same time. And so it's very common. Oh, you're there today. I might have been here for 12 hours yesterday and today and for the past however, days that you need to.
Yeah.
As a business owner, you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
When staffing has been hard to come by at times, So you're the one as the business owner that has to pick up that slack, but you hope that nobody ever notices.
Right.
You hope that nobody ever knows that you've been stressing like crazy or that you've been working, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 8, how many ever hours for a long time. I've done a lot of that in my career. So there is a lot of people out there that just think, oh, well, it looks like you're successful. I saw that you went on vacation or something like that, and you must just be kicking back, enjoying the good life. I work really hard.
I think we all do as entrepreneurs. People don't realize how much blood, sweat, and tears we put into it, right? And time is such a tricky thing, right? Like you've been doing it for 16 years on your own as your own agency, and I think what people see is like they don't remember the first 10 years. They're just like, she's an overnight success. Look at her. She's got this agency she's built up, right? But it was 16 years of just constant grind to get there. And there's still going to be a grind coming up, right? Trying to navigate other things that are coming. And I think that's just the life cycle of any business owner. But the passion is the service for you, I feel like.
Right. Taking care of the clients is number one for me. I mean, I've had a few clients with total loss house fires, and I was there right away to help them through, visiting them, taking them food and and water to them the morning after they lost their home. I've been there for the best and the worst days of my clients' lives in the past 16 years. I've had clients who have lost a baby at birth. I've had clients that have lost a 20-year-old child. I've had clients that have lived to be 102, still driving at age 99.
It's probably a good time to take away those keys, but that's the hard part. Like, who's going to tell them, right? Like, the kids have a tough time with that. I know we struggle with that with my dad, who passed away, but we had that conversation, like, okay, how are we going to do this, right? Because you're really taking away their independence and freedom, and I think they struggle with that. So, but as an insurance person, you probably like, okay, yeah, we should be looking at that. How do we get around that?
Yes, thank you, Patrick, for coming to visit me. But I could have come to you. I would have come to you, or we could have done this over the phone. But if you felt you needed to drive from, I think he lived in Crystal when he was alive, to Anoka when I was there at the time. But yes.
Oh, wow. And, it's kind of funny. I feel like insurance is kind of like your electrical panel, right? Like, it's never a problem until it's a problem, right?
Well, that's a good analogy. I've never thought about it that way. It's like your electrical panel.
Right. Well, we take it for granted, right? The electrical, we turn on light, it just comes on. We plug in our stuff, it works. But all of a sudden, if you're out of the power, right, it's like, man, it's a crisis because we live in a world where we're so dependent upon electricity, right?
Right.
Same with insurance, I feel like it's never a problem until you have an incident, and now you're trying to get it taken care of. And there's some insurance companies that are like, well, we got you. Well, I think like the General might be one of them, right? Like, it's super cheap insurance, but if you have to collect, it can be a daunting task.
Right.
So I feel like it's a lot of that in your industry.
Yes, it's, you don't want to find out what your insurance coverage is when you have a claim or when you have something happen. You want to know those things ahead of time. And that's one of the things that we do really well at my agency is educating our clients, making sure that they understand their coverages, what their options are, what coverage means or doesn't mean. In today's world, everybody's asking their friend, their family, the internet, TikTok. I mean, TikTok didn't go to school, didn't go through licensing classes to find out how to, and then AI, that's a whole nother issue. But I think that, having a conversation with somebody, I remember the first time that I wrote a policy without ever physically talking to a person on the phone, where it was all by email and all sending the things for signatures. And that young gal, she was 20 years old at the time. The first time that she got in an accident, what do you think she did?
Email.
She picked up the phone and she called me because she needed help. The email wasn't going to cut it. She needed an answer. She was scared. She'd never had this before. And she picked up the phone and she called. And I helped her through the situation. And so that was interesting to me. It told me and reminded me that, kids, younger people, the younger generation these days utilize a lot of the tools that are available instead of having the face-to-face or over-the-phone conversations. When they need help, that's not going to cut it for them. They're going to need somebody to talk to.
It's interesting you brought up that story because as far as I've known you, you're always been the helpful type, right? And
Thanks.
I feel like you're really involved in the Metro North Chamber.
Yes.
And I know I see you at working with women all the time. And you have that passion, and I love that story that it was a younger younger woman that got, and you're there to service them, right? And one of the things that I feel like what your company and you, I have the sense that really, really kind of niche towards that. Tell me a little bit more about how you got your heart into like really helping women in that, because we talked a little bit about that in the past.
Right. Well, I think that back in the day, right, years ago when you were talking about the insurance industry and how things were, and just in general, women didn't know a lot about finance. They didn't know a lot about their policies. They didn't know a lot about much. And I feel that it's very important. And I felt as a young person that being financially independent, being able to make my own money, being able to make my own decisions was really important to me. And I just love to help people. So if I can help in any way to, give advice to somebody younger than me or older than me for that matter, doesn't matter. But, making sure that they're in a place where they can be taken care of, somebody can give them guidance. I like to be a resource for my clients in any fashion, right? Whether they have something that doesn't have anything to do with insurance, right? Maybe they need a handyman to do some work, or they need a plumber to fix something, or they need somebody to fix their heating and air because their furnace went out. I like to be a resource so that I can direct them in the place to have somebody that I trust. And so networking allows me to meet a lot of people that I've gotten to trust and that I would recommend. And so anytime I can help them, I will.
And that's what I really think that you do really well at, right? It's just helping people. And I'm thinking like what kind of comes to my mind is in your career in the industry, it's really traditionally male dominated.
It has been, yes.
Right? Did that ever intimidate you, or did it maybe even motivate you even more?
That's a good question. I would say that it did both. I remember the first district meeting that I went to, and so our agents are all separated in different districts, and let's just say there was 25 or 30 agents. I was probably one of 2 women in the district. In the district that I am in now, I think that we might have more women than men, or it's pretty equal. And there's at least 3 of the women that are in my district that have been agents for 30 years or longer. And they definitely blazed the way for me to be able to be in the industry. And when I was in the auto glass business too, obviously I worked with men. I worked with the installers. I worked with the insurance agents. I worked with, different people. I was in a male-dominated type of field there as well. But it kind of makes you want to prove yourself more also, right? Where you feel a little intimidated about it and everybody knows more than you and you're just a new kid and boy, am I going to succeed at this or not? I don't know. Those are all the scary parts. But I also feel that as a female who cares a lot about people and who has always been the taking care of everybody sort of person, that naturally, I think that made me good at what I do.
Yeah, and you've had few experiences that you had to really go. I need to take care of myself at a really high level.
Yes.
And just talking to you, you're very independent. But I think you were telling me about a situation when you were traveling and you were you were in a car or a taxi. Tell us a little more about that. That was really interesting. About
Yes, when I was working for the auto glass company, I was traveling. I was in Albany, New York, doing some inventory audits, and I was leaving on an early Sunday morning flight, and I was picked up by a taxi. And in the area that I was in, I'd been many times, so I knew where the roads went. I knew how to get. The airport was 5 minutes away. It was like being in Bloomington at the Mall of America and getting to the airport there. That's probably closer than that. The person turned on a road. Now, this is 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's dark. It's on a Sunday. He turned on this road, and I said, What are you doing? And he says, oh, there's a road that goes through here to the airport. And I said, not that I know of. I've been traveling here. I don't live here, but I don't know of any road. And he said, yeah, it's just down here. And then as we're talking, he pulls the car and starts slowing down. We're in the elementary school parking lot, which of course is empty and it's all dark. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I must have turned wrong or something. It must be in the other turn. I said, you get this car going right away. And now back then, I had a cell phone. Not a lot of people did. I'd probably had it for a few years. It wasn't the big brick kind, but it was, one of the earlier versions of the smaller ones, right? And thank goodness I did, because that probably saved me. But so he gets the car going. I'm kind of yelling at him now, like, get this car going. I'm getting stressed. I'm starting to get worried about my safety. And he turns right and the road dead ends right there. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a house up here. I don't know if I can get there and get people awake enough before this guy could catch me. What am I going to do? So I just start screaming at him again. And I just said, I might have used a couple of swear words. And I said, what are you doing? You have to get back to the Central Avenue. You have to get back and I know how to get to the airport. And so he says, it's okay. Don't worry. You're fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. And I said, I'll be fine when I'm at the airport. And he gets on the road. And now to get to the airport, you have to go under the overpass and then do the cloverleaf. He starts to go the other way. He gets in the lane to go the other way. Mind you, it's 5 a.m. on a Sunday. There's no cars. I know that going this direction, it's like, I think it's about a 12-mile until the next exit where it was. And going the other way is the exit to the airport. And I said, what are you doing? You need to be over in this lane. He's like, oh yeah, you're making me nervous. Well, I don't think I was making him nervous.
No.
So he gets on there. By the time we're on the cloverleaf, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got my phone out, but I can't, call and do all those things. So I just had my hand on the door handle and I said, if he doesn't get the airport turn, I'm jumping out of the car. Whatever that means, this is what I'm doing. I think this is the only way that I'm going to save my life. So I had my hand on the handle and I just kept yelling at him, get me to the airport, get me to the airport. He got me to the door and I don't remember anything after that.
Wow.
I remember landing in Detroit and needing something to drink that had alcohol in it at 7 a.m. or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember just sitting there shaking, and the bartender was like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'll be okay. Yeah. And but that was a very scary thing. And then you start to second guess yourself. Was I overreacting? And when I talked to the people that were there and I talked to the police, they said, no, you definitely were not overreacting. What you did probably saved your life or saved something really horrible from happening to you. So it wasn't long after, I did that. And at some point in time, not long after that, a few years later, I started taking karate lessons because I wanted to have some self-defense skills. Plus, it was fun. I did it with some friends.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with screaming. It's all that,
punching and kicking things is kind of fun. I don't think my body could take it at this age, but back then it was something fun.
So besides that, it was pretty traumatizing to you because to forget up to a certain point and go, okay, finally I'm at a bar after you were on the flight and everything, you can't remember a thing.
Yeah.
That's really traumatic. It's like PTSD. How did that experience change you from there on out, besides taking the karate class?
I take my personal safety pretty seriously, and being in the insurance industry early on, people were expected to go to people's homes, and I did some of that, but there was a point, there was something that happened that I got uncomfortable with a situation several years ago, like a long time ago, and I just said, okay, this is just not smart. Not smart for me to do it all, and so I never did it again. If I met somebody and they had to meet in person, then we would meet at a public place. But I did it a few times early on because I felt like I needed to. And usually it felt like if it was somebody that was older. There was one time that I went into this one building. I was like, that looks a little sketchy. Maybe I shouldn't go in there. But yeah, so I basically, I don't do any of those types of appointments and haven't, unless it's a friend or somebody that I know personally.
Yeah. And I think just by hearing you tell these stories and seeing how you lead in some of these group, you really are a strong woman to be able to go, okay, I'm set my boundaries. Because I feel like society has kind of taught us as females or women in the society a little more subservient, right? It's getting better this day and age. So
Right.
it's easier for a guy to say, well, no, you come to me then. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want, but being the strong woman that you are, you can lay down those boundaries. I feel like you're teaching a lot of these people, a lot of these young women to have that. Do you agree with me on that sense?
I hope so. And when I have the opportunity to talk to somebody about a lot of boundaries, and it goes back to being the people pleasing. I'm a working on reforming people pleaser, former people pleaser, right? Always the one making sure that everything was okay, not wanting to rock the boat and have anybody be upset, just kind of smooth things. And that's not really a good place to be for a human, for anybody, whether it's a male or female. But I learned that, and I've learned over time, that wasn't the authentic me, right? Doesn't mean that I don't love and take care of people in just the same fashion, but I wasn't being my authentic self. I am my authentic self now. And I love to be able to, when given the opportunity, share some of those stories with people, and also just let them know setting boundaries is important. Your own safety is very important. I did the Citizens Academy with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office.
I want to try that one day. You
It's
told
so
me about
cool.
that. It is
Yeah.
really cool.
I learned so much. I learned a lot about, what the forensic team does, what the officers do. We did some case studies. We got to practice some hands-on. What do you do if somebody's trying to grab you? And I'd had some of those skills back from karate, but we were in a padded room. We got to do those things. One of the most difficult things in that class is you're set up with a pistol scenario. And you have to, the scenarios that they give you are real world situations manufactured of what a police officer has to make that split second decision about whether somebody's going to actually pull the trigger if they've got a gun to somebody's head. I mean, it was really eye-opening and scary, and it kind of gave a good realization of what the police officers go through on a day-to-day basis, and just gives you, more understanding, more, you just understand more about what they go through and how hard that job is, I guess.
Yeah, I have all the respect for the police officers out there, and it's been harder for them the last 10, 15 years, right?
Yes.
Because it's not the best pay in the world, and it's very true. Like, do you come home every night, right, unscathed? And
Right.
that's what they just want to do, but we need them, right? So it's kind of crazy. The one thing that, going back to like you helping everybody, I feel like we talked a little bit about this, but you said something to me once that really stuck with me. Like, you have to love yourself first before anything else to be able to help
right.
people, right? And what does that mean to you?
If you are constantly taking care of everybody else and not being your authentic self and suppressing how you feel about something for the potential better of somebody else's, then you aren't really loving yourself. So the past several years, I've really worked on that for me, because I think that I knew that I wasn't happy and I couldn't really figure out why or how things were. So I really made a concerted effort to dig into that, to dive into that, to listen to a lot of podcasts, to do a lot of reading, and a little bit of therapy, and just really learning about who I genuinely am and what I bring to the world. And so by going through that process, knowing that I have to be a happy person, there isn't anybody else in the world that's going to make me happy except me. I have to be happy with who I am, what I do, and how I do it. And I can be a better person for all those around me. My clients, my family, my team members, everybody. And I'm a happier person because I'm the one that is giving the happiness to myself. It's a gift. And it's not about not taking care of people or not being a better person for others. It's putting your own mask on first before assisting others. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to have a certain level. You're going to run out is what you do.
Yeah.
When your bucket's dry, you can go on autopilot and doing things, but you're not happy. You're not being yourself. And it's hard.
Yeah, and I think we forget that, especially someone like you who's a giver, right? We forget, like, if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of other people at a high level.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes we forget that because we're in our own moment and our innate behavior is like, how do I take care of them first?
Right.
Like, they're more important than me. Not that that's the truth, but in a sense, sometimes that's our truth in the moment, right?
That's how we feel, yes.
Yeah.
Putting others first, service above self, those sort of things. And I think that as females, we've been taught that through the generations more than men. It doesn't mean that it's not the same for men, because I'm not saying that the gender is an issue, because I know plenty of men that are that sort of person as well. But I think that society over the years, and obviously things have changed a lot, right?
In the last 20 years, the
lot.
power that we are equals. And back before the 70s and 80s, 60s and 70s, women were not equal to men, is what the society had taught us, I feel like.
Right.
Well, we were talking about credit cards, right? Like, a woman could not get a credit card in the 60s without a man's signature on it, or even buy a house back then,
No
which
mortgage.
was crazy. Yeah. So, no, I think that's so huge, being part of having that empowerment, right?
Right. And I want to live the best rest of my life. And so that means that I'm starting with me.
Yeah.
And hopefully that others see that means that makes me a better person, because I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really does come. It's like which one comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And it's got to be kind of a combination of both. But I think if you have to pick one, you need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others at a high level. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you really can't take care of somebody else at a high level.
No.
So that's where it comes down to.
You run out of energy, you run out of everything. And then what do you have?
Nothing.
Besides,
gratitude. If you can be grateful, that helps.
Gratitude is big. We try to start at my office every day. We haven't been as great about it lately, but it's something that we're definitely get back into whenever it pops into somebody's head. Okay, what are we grateful for today? Starting out the day with something that you're grateful for is just an awesome way to start the day.
It's very powerful. I once heard, and I probably said this a few times on the podcast, it really kind of hit me hard when he said, if you can have 100% gratitude in the moment, you can never have fear, doubt, or anything sneak in. You don't have room for it, right?
Right.
But if you have 50% gratitude, you have room for doubt, fear, any of that other stuff. And I just think that was amazing, that it was eye-opening for me when Jamie Ogden had said that to me. Like, yeah, he's absolutely right. You just don't have room for any of the other stuff if you just be grateful.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I love how you're working on it every day. Do you feel like you get off course on it, or?
Things happen. You're you're busy or the phones are ringing right away or you've got meetings that don't get you in the office right away. So whenever it pops into our head in the office, then it's like, okay, all right, got to get this done. What are we grateful for today? And I always say it doesn't have to be something big. It can be as small as the fact that, the smell of flowers in the springtime, or that the sun's out today. 'Cause that's been a big one this year, right? The sun is out, or it's warm. Any of those things.
Well, I did one a few weeks back because I've been doing it every week and trying to stay consistent.
Awesome.
I actually missed this week. Yeah, kind of. I usually try to do it by Wednesday.
It's Friday.
I should just get it done tonight.
You can get it done.
But one of them that was so simple, and it was just like, I think it's any type of gratitude. I just was thankful that I had a car that had like a hatchback or whatever to cover my groceries, so I don't have to drive in the rain. My it's just little things like that, right? So
it's funny you say that. I remember one day driving down Highway 10, and this is, I don't remember how many years ago. I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And I'm in my newer car, and I'm driving next to a car that has got some plastic over the windows. And in the auto glass business, we saw that a lot. And the car was older, and the bumper was kind of hanging. There was some duct tape there, and there was a lot of stuff in the back. And I just kind of wondered to myself, boy, I hope they're not living out of their car. I hope that they have resources. And wow, do I feel grateful for what I have.
yeah,
And I try to remember those things.
yeah,
You try to remember that, and it goes back to giving back to the community. As a member of the chamber and a member of this community, I try to give back in any way I can.
Well, and the amazing thing is you don't need the recognition for it, but as a matter of fact, you did get one from the Metro North Chamber, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What does that recognition mean to you? How does it tie into your commitment into uplifting people, and especially women? I just feel like you are so admired by the Working with Women group and
thank you.
all those other things. How does that tie into that, you feel?
I think that it was really an honor to be recognized as one of the businesses of the year for the chamber. And I love everything that it stands for. I love the advocacy. I love the people that I've gotten to know that have become not just clients or not just referral partners, but true friends. And to have that award was just such an honor, really. I can't even explain it. I was so honored to be nominated and be in the finalist for that. But when my name was called, yeah, it was pretty special.
It is, and we had that too a few years back.
Yes, you did.
And it is an honor, and it's actually, I'm just grateful and humble that that people say, hey, we really truly trust your organization and your business to be able to do this, right? And yeah, it's a huge honor. So,
and it's not just me; it's my team. It's my name on the door, and it's my face in the pictures. But it's my team. I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
I did it alone for a few months in the very beginning. It wasn't easy. And it's, but you have to have a team of people, and they have to have the same values that align with yours. And I do. And it makes things that much more wonderful and easier for me to, to portray that and to be able to see that whether it's clients or they're not just seeing me and saying that they truly feel that about my business is a big honor.
Yeah, and it's about our team, right? And part of it is if you have a really good team, you can actually enjoy life a little bit more because they're taking care of your clients at a level that you want to see taken care of.
Right.
So that's really huge. And one of the things that I understand that you've been able to do is go get your scuba diving certificate because of that. Which hobby describes Kari the best? I know you're a golf, you love to travel. I just love all that. It just seems so, all sorts of different things in your life, and even like when you start out working. But yeah, I just want to know what hobby Kari really is, like what describes her best.
Okay, I'm going to go to a strange analogy, but just follow me. You know when you had the pop machines and you had all of the different flavors? I'm never the girl that goes for just the one. I like to mix it up with all the flavors. And I'm kind of the same when it comes to the things that I love to do. So golf, I I truly enjoy it, but I'm not good at it at all. I could hit the ball or I could hit the ground, and I never know. It's always a surprise to me. So I'm hoping to get better at it.
Okay.
I took lessons many years ago before I was in a bad car accident. And so I'm kind of now trying to get into it, and I want to work on it. So that's something I want to work on. I've always loved the water. When I was little, living in Florida, we spent the weekends in the ocean at Clearwater Beach, and the smell of the warm, salty air is kind of like my favorite smell and sound in the whole wide world. So if I love to travel, and that travel brings me to scuba diving, that travel brings me to mountains and hiking, that travel brings me to, visit areas that I've never been. So I guess if I had to pick one, I would have to say travel because it gets me to all those things. But getting scuba certified last year was amazing. I was able to do some diving in the Bahamas at the end of last year. And my first experience underwater at like 60 feet, looking at a wreck and seeing a sea turtle — I love sea turtles, by the way — was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just couldn't even talk enough about it when I was done. And I just can't wait to do more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And who doesn't love sea turtles, especially?
They're so cute.
And they are cute. And I love the one on Finding Nemo, right? Like, just go with the flow, dude.
Right.
So it's fantastic.
Sea turtles have an amazing, they don't rush into things. Just the whole thing about them. They're amazing.
They are. They are. And with that, we're going to go to a quick break.
Okay.
At Twin City Tales Podcast, we believe in strong communities are built by people and organizations willing to care for others. That's why we are proud to support Hammer and NER, an incredible Minnesota nonprofit helping adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities live life to the fullest. Their work creates opportunity, dignity, independence, and connection right here in our community. If you'd like to help, Hammer and NER is always looking for volunteers, advocates, and donations to continue their mission. I am one of those people that highly help that community out. Learn more, get involved, or give back at hammer.org. Together, we can continue building a stronger, more compassionate community for everyone. Ever walk into a house and flip a switch and have no idea what it actually does? Like, is it a light, an outlet, or something in the garage? Nobody knows. Or what about when you plug in something into an outlet and it just slowly falls out like it's giving up on life? Or worse, the outlet just doesn't work at all. Well, we see that stuff every day. At Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, we help homeowners take care of those small electrical issues before they turn into bigger problems. Loose outlets, dead plugs, mystery switches, we'll track it down, fix it right, and make your home actually work the way it's supposed to. So if something feels off electrically, it probably is. Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, built here, stays here. Feel the difference. Before we jump back into my conversation with Kari, I've got a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying Twin City Tales, please take a moment to hit that subscribe or follow button. It helps us share these incredible stories with more people throughout the Twin Cities and beyond. And if you've enjoyed an episode, learned something new, or been inspired by one of our guests, I know I have, we greatly appreciate it if you could put a rating or a review in. It only takes a minute, but it helps others discover the show. You can find Twin City Tales on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to follow Twin City Tales on Facebook for some behind-the-scenes content, upcoming guests, episodes, highlights, and more stories from around our community. Most importantly, I thank you so much. This podcast is built around celebrating the people who make a difference, business leaders, community champions, entrepreneurs, athletes, and everyday people with extraordinary stories to tell. Your support allows us to continue sharing those stories. Now let's get back into my conversation with Kari Hefnider. And remember, life is too short for bad stories, bad coffee, or bad service. Along with, you can never go wrong with Wymond Wong. So, Kari, who is someone you would love to hear or see on this podcast, and why?
If it was somebody that's not here, it would be Prince, because I think he has an amazing story, and I just love his music. But you can't, so I'm going to go with somebody who's here. And I'm going to say Lori Higgins, the president of the Metro-North Chamber. I think that there's a lot behind that hustle and bustle that woman has. And I think it'd be interesting to find out.
I've had somebody say the same thing, and I personally have really wanted that too. I've talked to her a little bit about it, but I find her really interesting because she has such a heart for nonprofit and really helping businesses in our community, which is really huge.
I joined the chamber before she did, so it was very interesting. I've watched her from the beginning at the chamber and how she's grown into the position and how she advocates for businesses and just her love for community. And I think that it would be great to hear her story.
Yeah, I think so too.
You've had so many great people on already. You just keep rolling with it.
I'm very blessed. There you go, gratitude.
Yes.
I'm really blessed with it. And and I'm just blessed to be able to have a platform to be able to share other people's stories because it's really about them. I feel strongly about that. So this is the portion where we bring on some pictures. Okay. And actually the first picture I want to bring on, because you really had me at Mickey Mantle. So. So this is the picture of Mickey Mantle, but the one thing that I think is so cool is you have a doily.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that story, of how he signed it or how you got that.
So when I was little and we lived in Florida, my mom worked at one of the country clubs there and as a waitress. And of course, during strength training, all of the athletes would go in and maybe have a beer or a cocktail or 2 or 10 after spring training back in the day. And so me and my other 2 sisters have a doily signed by him. We're not sure if the other 2 have been able to find theirs, but I've managed to keep mine for the past 52 years. I keep it in a Ziploc baggie because that's about the best thing I can think of to keep it from getting too dry. Steve Griffiths from Stepping Stone Emergency Housing said that I should take it in and get it authenticated just to be able to see that, that I have that, that it's authentic. But so my mentor that I had mentioned earlier in the auto glass business, Dominic, he loved baseball. And so one day we're having this conversation. I had showed him the doily or brought it in when he was in town. He got this picture and he framed it and he mailed it to me. And so that's why I put that in there. And I just think that it's kind of special in the fact that I've been able to hold on to it and not lose it. I lost my Homer hanky.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I lost that many years ago. Yeah. I had one. But
there's 2 of them. The 91 one, too. So they had the 87 and the 91.
Yeah. I think that I had the 87 one. I might have had one from each. I don't know, but I don't have any anymore. But I've managed to hang on to that little paper doily all these years.
It's pretty special. And that's probably someone I would love to have on the podcast who's dead, right? Right. He has so many stories. It's just amazing. If you read there's a book by Jim Boughton from the 70s, and it's a tell-all book because back in the 70s and 60s, baseball players were very clean and the wholesome image, milk drinkers, when in all reality they weren't. And that Jim Boughton book called Ball 4 was really about the Major League Baseball's dirty laundry.
Wow.
And he played on the Yankees with Mickey Mantle, and he had some great stories about Mickey Mantle that probably would not be as kid-friendly as people would say.
Right.
This is awesome. Thank you for bringing that in and sharing that with us.
I didn't want to just send you a picture. I wanted to bring the real deal so you could look at it.
I'm one of those that's nostalgia for the old the stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna start with some picture. We're gonna go with some pictures with you in it, and
Okay.
this is so adorable.
Uh,
That was you. So that must have been in Florida when you
That's
were.
a good question. I was 4, so either we were just there. I'm not sure if that picture was taken down there or in Minnesota here. That is a good question. But yes, I had blonde, curly hair.
And
There
the
may have been,
cheeks.
and the cheeks. Yeah, I had big cheeks for most of my life. The older I get, the less, as Chris Johnson will tell you, lose your fat pads. I'm losing my fat pads, but I definitely had the cheeks back then.
Yeah. And when you look at that little girl, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Was what kind of child was Kari? Shy, outgoing?
I was pretty outgoing. I loved the outdoors. I loved being outside. Trying to remember back to that age. If it was in Florida, I mean, we would be outside running around all the time. We had great fruit trees growing at the apartment buildings that we lived in, and I would just pluck them right off the tree and eat them, go swimming, go to the ocean. Most of my earliest childhood memories, like I mentioned, were of Florida and the ocean. So that's probably what I've been doing, spending my time in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah, back then that wasn't like the
No.
thing, right?
No.
The other thing too is being down at that age, right? I'm thinking Tampa or Orlando.
Tampa, yes.
And Orlando's only like an hour away, if that even, for a drive.
Not too far. Mhm.
Yeah. So were you like a Disney fan at all?
No. I mean, it was fun and a cool place to be as a kid. And in fact, if I remember correctly, we were there for the 1976
The
bicentennial celebration with a lot of fireworks and a lot of heat. I do remember that, and I think that I can't say if it was on the day or around, but I just remember huge fireworks.
Oh wow! Yeah, you know who's a big Disney fan and loves going there? Tammy Larson.
Yes, she is. She's everything Disney and Mickey ears. Yes.
Yes, it's so funny. She's such a fun woman.
Yes, she is.
So here's one, and I thought this was really cool. You on a horse, and look at the confidence you have there.
I loved riding horses. When we moved to Florida, the place that we lived next door was this horse ranch, and you could go there. People could go there and ride horses, and the owner there sort of took me under his wing and taught me how to ride. And my older sister Sherry, she would also ride, and we just loved horses. I mean, we would clean the hooves, we would bathe them. This horse name was Missy, and she basically was kind of sassy. She didn't like a lot of people riding on her, but she did me, and she was amazing, and I just absolutely loved it. I loved riding. I loved being able to go there and ride. It was a lot of fun.
So what I see there is a very confident young girl, right? Like not afraid of much.
No.
It just seems like. And
No.
Do you think that translated into who you are today? Because I feel like that confidence in you shows every time I talk to you or when I'm in it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that there's obviously there's been many things in my life that have propelled me forward in many different ways, in confidence and being sure of myself or trusting my own instincts of things. I mean, we're all still human, but I think that I just loved that. I loved being at one with an animal, that part was just amazing, and I loved every second of it.
And there's something, and I think I rode a horse once in my life, but there's something with horses' intuition that really connect with humans, from what I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a total different wavelength, even like compared to like a dog's connection. Horses have some sort of real special intuition.
Yes, it's exponential to dogs, and dogs are amazing all on their own. So.
Yeah.
Yes, but I loved riding horses. I haven't been on a horse for quite a while, but I have through my adult life done some riding, and maybe someday I'll get back to it.
That's pretty well. Knowing you're a go-getter. You love the different stuff.
I'll add it to the list. I have a literal bucket list on my phone of things, so I'll add it to the list.
All right.
Oh boy.
So this is I just think of the fluffy air, and you were a big Bon Jovi fan. So, this kind of captures you as like you're right on that edge of adulthood, right? Like you're just going into that. If you could sit down with that young woman with that feathered hair, with a lot of hair,
A lot of hairspray too.
yes, and bring her to a cup of coffee, what advice would you give her today that she probably didn't know then?
The one thing for sure that I would want to tell her is to make herself happy first, to learn how to not take care of everybody else all the time, and to take care of yourself first. You will have a much happier life if you start that young as opposed to waiting until later in life. I think that always wanting to take care of everybody else. If you can start out and maintain that confidence that that little girl and that horse appeared to be, then that I would want her to be confident her whole life.
That's wonderful advice. And would that girl looking back at us in that picture, would she believe that one day she'd own a successful insurance agency and become a Metro North Chamber award recipient and known for helping people protect their families in our community?
Oh, I think that she thought those things were possible. The careers that when I was that age that I felt I would have enjoyed would have been an attorney, a psychologist, a nurse or something perhaps in the medical field. And as an insurance agent, I already am kind of those things.
Yeah,
People ask me advice for legal things all the time, which I tell them that I can't answer. I can't give them legal advice, whether it's a business or personal or how should I do these things. And boy, I hear a lot of things from my clients that I am pretty surprised that they tell me. But I know things that their spouses and their families don't know. As sometimes they're like I said before, I'm there for their worst and their best days, and I am honored and cherished to be able to be that person for people.
Wow. Very well said. I like that.
Thank you.
What's the one thing you hope that every young woman listening today hears from your story in this podcast?
That literally anything is possible. Don't ever take what you have for granted, or that you're not enough to be whatever it is that you want to be.
Love that. That's why you're a great community leader. I'm so grateful that you were to take some time to come on the show.
Thanks.
And with that, I do have a couple things for you. It's not the bucket.
Well, everybody could use a bucket, right?
But the first thing that everybody gets, and a big part of being in our show,
Aw.
thank you for being awesome and you.
Thank you.
And then, of course,
love it.
what would it be without like fortune cookies from a real Asian guy, right? Not just from a restaurant.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
And I loved how you talked about one of your biggest bucket lists was to do some scuba diving in Maldives. And I think hopefully that book helps you kind of go,
Awesome.
I want to go there, and have it right by your computer and make sure you get to that on your bucket list. So,
I do. I know that there was a tragedy in that area not too long ago, and that's sad for a bunch of divers. But I'm definitely not going in any caves, so we don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. But just look at that.
I know, it's beautiful. I
It's
can
so
picture you
pretty.
laying out there
Oh,
on that
I'm right
hammock.
there. I'm right there.
Yes.
My bathing suit and a beach towel and a cold beverage. But yes, I want to scuba dive there really bad. So it's definitely on my bucket list.
Well, the water's clear and it just looks beautiful there. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, my pleasure. And, I honestly can't thank you enough for you being again on the show on Twin City Tales. If you want to learn more about Kari and what she does, you can go to karihefnider.com. That's spelled Karihefnider.com. or we'll put it on our Spotify and YouTube pages. We'll post it on there, or we'll even post it on our Facebook Tales page.
Thank you.
This podcast was powered by Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric. I want to thank Chris Hockey for the use of his song Thanks, with no pun intended. And remember, you can't go wrong with Wymond Wong on your Twin City Tales podcast.
This song goes out to my family, to all the ones who died before me. I'm sure the family life made you do things you never wanted to, so I wrote